Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Fix My Fees podcast, where merchant processing is so boring, I bring on interesting people in different businesses to come in and speak with you guys instead. So I'm your host, Tavius Washington, and today we have with us Emily. Hey, Emily, how you doing today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing good. And it's Emily Bernstein, right? Or is it Bernstein?
Yes, Bernstein.
Bernstein. All right. Awesome. Oh, I'm glad to be talking to you today. It's a little bit of a different direction, chatting with you. You are a patient advocate. You founded the Wheelhouse Health Navigation, and then was even advocate of the year in 2024. So I thought it would be cool to have someone who deals with patients, especially with the business owners, their employees, family members that may be watching the show, to have you come on and talk about that a little bit. But what is it that you do for people with the Wheelhouse Health Navigation on like a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, great question. So our mission is basically everything that is involved with getting people access, helping people understand, and helping people afford their healthcare. So I work with people on all different kinds of cases that, if you get a bill that you can't afford, if you know that your bill is wrong for some reason, which happens way more often than you'd think, if your insurance denied you coverage, we can appeal those decisions. And, if your insurance just isn't paying, we can work with the hospitals or providers. It's always a different case. Every single person is different. But basically those three things, if you need help getting access to, understanding, or affording your healthcare, that's what I can help with.
Nice. How did you get involved into this part of it? Were you already in insurance and just decided to go that route, or did something else come up and start to spark this?
No, I have absolutely no healthcare background, actually. So in 2019, my mom was diagnosed with brain cancer. And so we, between getting the diagnosis in the first place, which took about 2 years. And then once she was actually diagnosed, she went through treatment, she went through rehab, she had a stem cell transplant during a pandemic, which was all kinds of exciting.
Right.
Yeah. So we went through a lot with my mom's healthcare, and, being one of her primary caregivers, it really showed me just how much you really need help navigating these systems. Like if you're the patient, there's no way you can focus on scheduling all your appointments, getting all the prior authorizations that you need, getting the referrals, getting the bills covered, appealing denials, all that kind of stuff. There's no way you can do that while also getting well.
Yeah.
Our healthcare system is supposed to treat you and help you get better. And in so many cases, that's just not feasible with managing all this other stuff. And so that really, I was working with a nonprofit at the time. And when the pandemic hit, I decided to pursue training. So I got a certificate in patient advocacy. I got board certified and, went through a couple other steps to learn the ropes. And then I worked with a mentor who specialized in the billing aspects of healthcare. And so she was incredibly helpful getting me, really just very well versed in all of the steps and the terminology and all of the stuff you need to know to navigate the back end of healthcare. And so I provide these services now for people who, like I said, a lot of the people that contact me are either caregivers or patients themselves. And I just make sure that everything is going smoothly on the back end so that they can focus on getting the treatment that they actually need.
Got it. I like that. It's really client focused on what they need.
But yeah.
What do you run into the most that people don't know? Because it does feel like with insurance that people are always kind of behind on it. It's like, I've been paying it, and then stuff pops up. It's like, I didn't know this. I didn't know that.
I know.
What are some of the things that people don't know or don't realize that they have?
Yeah. It's such a confusing industry, and they make it that way intentionally, right? Like they make it confusing so that you just kind of lay down and take it, I think is the hope that people have, that the insurance companies have. And so, a lot of people come to me when they're like, no, I'm not going to just take this. I'm not going to pay the bill that I know I don't owe. I'm going to fight it. And so, that's what I hope that's what I hope the message is from today is like, don't ever pay a bill if you know you don't need to pay it. Like if that's not a fair balance for you to pay, you should always, always, always appeal it. So I think a lot of people don't know even where to start. As a lot of the times when people come to me, they're like, I have this bill or I have, this huge stack of bills or something like that. And they say, I don't even know where to start. And so giving people a clear path to getting what they, a fair balance and getting people, again, the care they need is really what I help with. Basic questions like how to find out what your deductible is or,
Right.
what am I covered for? What drugs am I covered for? How do I get a doctor that's not in my network or is this doctor? Those kinds of questions. People have no idea. Like they can call their insurance company, but it's just going to be gibberish
Right.
and it's going to be more confusion. And so that's why independent advocates are here because we basically translate insurance speak into English or whatever your language you speak. And we make sure that you understand it.
Yeah. Okay. So you do help people if they're trying to decide which insurance to go through or if they're switching.
Yeah, so I can help people pick a plan, or, help people walk through the options. I can help people find out, when you're like, if you've been on a drug for 20 years and you're going to switch insurances, I can help you figure out, is this drug going to be covered under this new insurance plan? Those kinds of things. Making sure that nothing changes for you or as little as possible changes for you when you're changing. Or, if you already have a new plan and the drug isn't covered, we can find a generic drug or something else that might be a similar treatment, that kind of stuff.
Is there like, what's the term? Best practices. Like if someone's starting to look for like insurance before they run into the problems, is there any best practices that they should take or anything they should take heed when looking?
Well, I would say just no, don't commit to anything until you know what's going to be covered. Like I said, if you've been on a drug for a long time, or if you're seeing this acupuncturist that you've been covered for, make sure that all of that stuff will translate to a new plan before you commit to it. Because as you know, there's open enrollment periods, which is just a 2-month window where you can switch plans unless you have something like you lost a job or got married or something like that. But you can only change your plan once a year, essentially. And so you got to make sure it'll fit what you need before you commit
Mm,
to it.
got it. And what about on the other end of it? Like when it comes to employees and business owners and dealing with like that kind of insurance, do employees do they go through more when they're reaching out to you and trying to get help, or does it feel like it's an easier time dealing with the insurance and the companies and bills when there's an employee insurance plan?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because sometimes if it's an employee sponsored health plan, a lot of times I work more with the HR department than the
Mm,
insurer because HR is, when a company sponsors your health plan, they're paying a portion of your premium for you usually. And so they have a lot of sway. So like they are real big paying customers of this insurance plan. So if HR appeals a decision, sometimes it has a little bit more clout. And so a lot of times I work through HR,
mm,
um, because, they can be like, we pay you so much money every year. And so you got to listen to us. It's kind of like that. Um, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but yeah, I think it's different with a little bit different with insurance with employee sponsors plans because there is that third party of the business.
what about if employers want to make sure that their employees are totally covered, but they're just kind of grabbing the first thing? Is there anything that employers should know about?
That's a great question. It's hard, especially if you have like a bigger company. It's hard to make sure that everything your employees need are covered. You can't please everyone basically, but, having a plan that is generous in terms of the basics. I think if you have basics, things like mental health, prescriptions, physical therapy is a huge one because that can get
Mm,
really, really expensive when you're going twice a week for, you know, 16 weeks. Um, And as long as those basics are really well provided for, then the catastrophic stuff or the rare diseases, those things can be taken on a case by case basis. But I think it's really important to think about the general public and, general purposes of what care people are going to be receiving when you're picking a plan.
Did COVID affect how insurances or anything range and changing? Like as the future is going, what are some of the changes you're starting to see with insurance companies or plans or what they're trying to do as time goes on?
That's interesting. I wouldn't say COVID impacted insurance, more so this new administration. If you're going to talk about an influence on what is covered and how people are charged, I think, January 2025 or 26 was a real shift in terms of how
Yeah.
much healthcare costs. Like I see a lot more people coming to me preventatively, which is great.
Right.
But they're telling me I need to pay $5,000 up front for a surgery and, that I need to get this pre-authorization in place before I do it. And so people are being a lot more conscious about what they're potentially going to be spending as opposed to, oh my God, I got $100,000 bill. What do I do? It's
Mm.
been a big shift in like, what can I do to prevent costs down the line? Because I'm already paying so much more for my premium every month that I need to make sure I'm getting the most out of it. So that's been a big shift.
I didn't even think about it from a preventative standpoint. How are
Yeah.
people, or I guess, how are people thinking of it from a preventative and how do you help them analyze that before it becomes a problem?
Well, I mean, so I've been doing this for about 5 years, and most of the people are coming to me like, oh my God, I just got out of the hospital. I received all this care. They build it as a level 5 trauma. Everything's going to be so expensive. And so they're coming to me once they get the bill in the mail. That's usually what happens. But now people are coming to me and they're saying, well, there's a lot more people coming to me saying, I want the hospital is charging me up front, which is crap. If you ask, like, don't ever pay that, or if it's, a reasonable amount, pay it. But like the hospital is just trying to cover their butt because they're trying to make sure, if the hospital or if the insurance denies it, then they're just trying to make sure they get their money's worth. So definitely that's something that I've seen a lot more of.
Mm.
And I think you should not prepay for services if you can avoid it. But yeah, just like in preventative measures, like making sure that the authorizations are in place. I have a client right now whose surgery was just canceled because he's having a conflict between his primary and secondary insurance. And the primary said they're going to deny the surgery, but the secondary said they'll cover it. But the hospital still won't do the surgery because they're not like because the
Insane.
primary is denying it. And so we're fighting that, saying, no, it's still going to be covered. You should still go ahead with the surgery. So those kinds of things. It's a different trend in terms of the type of appeal that I'm doing. It's more authorizations, getting all the paperwork straight before a procedure takes place, as opposed to, oh my God, I got this bill. What do I do?
How are you handling that? Right? You got to deal with people's different situations, sad situations, the troubles and things that they're going through, how it can impact them financially. And on the other end, you advocating and pushing, you have the resistance trying as hard as can to give as little as possible to this person so that they can maintain their margins. How do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis, having to fight both those sides?
Yeah, great question. I like to think of myself as a human before, so I always, obviously I'm working on behalf of the client. I'm always making sure that the client's needs are getting met. And, I literally just hung up, for instance, with a case where they're trying to get this woman has a genetic mutation that can be passed down to potential offspring. So they're trying to get IVF approved so that they can do the genetic testing before they have the pregnancy. And the insurance is denying IVF for them. And so I just got off the phone and they were denied, unfortunately,
Mm.
again. And so we're going to have to figure out another way to appeal. But I always, when I'm speaking with hospitals or insurance providers, I'm like, you're a human too. Like we're all humans here. Do you have $50,000 burning a hole in your pocket to pay this bill? I don't think so. Would you want to pass a genetic mutation down to your child? No. So how can we figure this out as humans?
And
And just, I always appeal. I'm also, I like to say that I'm the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. If you've heard that expression, it's kind of like where Wheelhouse came from, like the squeaky wheel. And so I don't take no for an answer. So like this denial for the IVF treatment, I'm like, well, what's the next step? How can we appeal again? Because I need to figure something out.
that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping that after a couple of times you stop that, right? And you don't push any further.
That's exactly right, because I'm not gonna take no for an answer.
So what is I guess, what's your favorite part about what you do? What is it that
Oh,
keeps the drive going? What do you love about what you do? Because it does seem like when I talk to you, you do have a passion for it. So
oh
what
yeah.
parts really speak to you?
Oh, when you get the win, it's so great. I've been working on one case for over 2 years, and so it was a very complicated case. The bill was huge from three different hospitals. And so his insurance was denying it. So I got the insurance to ultimately approve it. His bill was still huge. And so then we negotiated settlements, and the settlements take forever, because the hospital's never really willing to do it. But again, I'm like, do you have $150,000 that you could pay this bill? No. So here's a reasonable amount. Let's settle for that. And so, yeah, I've been working on it for over 2 years, all things considered. And I just got the hospital to lower the bill by $50,000. So overall, I saved this guy over $600,000 between all three hospital stays. And, when I got the email, I screamed. I was like, this is the win. It is so good.
That does sound awesome.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the thing though. When you have someone who can push that hard, you can make those things happen, but they expect you 2 years, they expect you to stop in 30 days and 60 days and they drain you out.
Oh,
But over the course
no.
of 2 years, how many people would normally stop? Yet you keep pushing and advocate. That's awesome.
Yeah.
600,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are
So
some of the other what are some of the other
that was
case
great.
studies like you've done like that? Something that maybe really spoke to you when you got it done.
I've done a lot of financial assistance applications, and so every hospital under if it's a nonprofit hospital are supposed to, according to the Affordable Care Act, have a financial assistance fund because again, it's a nonprofit, and so they're not supposed to be making profits. They always
Right.
do, but there should be financial assistance available. And so a lot of people just assume they're not going to be eligible, but it's sometimes you can really push through. And when you take into consideration not only income, but expenses, they consider that like the net income, not the overall income. So people make the assumption that they're not going to be able to do it. But I've gotten a lot of financial assistance applications approved. Like one woman had her bill was 120,000 and we got the entire thing waived through financial assistance. And when
Nice.
when I called her to tell her, she cried and said, I saved her from bankruptcy essentially, which is just, it can be life changing. These bills are so huge. So yeah, the financial assistance is a really great tool to have in your belt. The settlements are really satisfying, but then there's also like when the insurance, like I just had one where the hospital took too long to file the claim, and so the insurance denied it because they have these arbitrary windows of time that you're allowed to file a claim, but the hospital for some reason didn't submit it in time, and
Mm.
so the insurance didn't pay it. And so I worked probably about like 8 months to get the hospital to take responsibility. And so they covered that $20,000 bill entirely from the hospitals because they messed up basically. So there's lots of different tools that you can, that you,
Should more people, man, kind of forgot about financial assistance. It feels like people don't maybe utilize that enough. And that's something
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
should apply for, even if they feel like they wouldn't get it.
I mean, it depends. So a lot of hospitals, they're, so according to the Affordable Care Act, they are required to have, it's so specific. It's really funny when you read it, but they're required to have it posted very, very legibly everywhere in the hospital. Like, this is available for you. They don't do that. They're required to have the policy written out in like 20 different languages and then an application readily available on their website. So often that does not happen. And so you kind of have to dig for it a lot of times, which is really
Yeah.
frustrating because like technically they're being fraudulent according to federal regulations. And in $20,000 case, they didn't actually have a policy that they could give to me. And so I threatened to go to the media. I was like, you are breaking the law and people need to know this. And we're going to go to the media unless you cover this bill. So that's another tool that you can use to threaten. But yeah, financial assistance is great because it's usually you can check the policy. It varies. Different hospitals have different rules, but it sometimes covers up to like 400% of the federal poverty level, which is a pretty middle class income that where you might still be covered. So
Right.
you don't have to be super, super low income to get covered. And, there's sometimes if you do have insurance and the insurance just didn't pay out, they won't approve you. So if you don't have insurance, that's actually a really good tool to use. But there's different rules for different things. So you gotta, like I said, it's case by case basis.
Got it. Okay. Okay. I want you to take a different route. Brag about yourself for a little bit. If people are looking in and they're like, I have a family member, I have a friend, I myself is dealing with it, I might need some help, I might want to reach out, I don't know if I should do it. How do you help people? What is it that makes you so good at what you do? Like, brag about yourself for a little bit so people can kind of understand you.
I love talking about myself. No, I'm kidding. No, so there are lots of advocates out there. A lot of advocates specialize in different things. So like if you have a chronic condition, you can go get an advocate that'll help you navigate things like clinical trials, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different advocates out there. Very few specialize in billing like I do. And so it is great to have somebody that has the experience that I have fighting for you. I am averaging saving people about $40,000. So an investment of, a few hundred to save 40,000. You're looking pretty good there. And I actually just passed $1.9 million in medical debt eliminated overall. So
That
we're
is
almost
awesome.
to 2 million, which is going to be really exciting. And, so I have a pretty good track record of getting people's debt eliminated. And it's not only that, it's like I've gotten people, placed on transplant lists. I got a gentleman approved to get a liver transplant. I've gotten people the medications that they need. I've gotten people the wheelchairs that they need or like a ramp installed at their home that I got donated. One person I saved ton of money because his teeth were dissolved from chemo treatments, and I got
Mhm.
them to donate an entire set of implants that were a special creation that was specifically for his type of chemo. So, it's not only the money, it's getting you the care you need. And I have a pretty good track record at this point. So when it comes to your healthcare, that's like one of the most important things about your experience here on this planet, right? And you got to
Yeah.
make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So, and I can't do it for free, unfortunately, but I think it's a pretty reasonable investment in order to save you the life-changing amount that sometimes these hospitals are trying to get out of you.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. I haven't asked that before. It was just something that popped up in my head. So what do you like outside of, being this advocate and fighting for people? What do you like to do, or how are what are some of the things you do outside of work?
Well, that's a great question. I'm a very Aries, if you know horoscopes or anything. So I have like 18 different projects going on at any time. and I never finish any of them. So my house is a mess, but I'm a big crafter. I like it when you can see what you worked on. And so I think that's why medical billing speaks to me so well, is because I can see the number actually go down. But I also
Right.
love creating stuff. So I'm a big quilter. I'm a big gardener. I love growing things. And I'm a big traveler. So we actually just got back from Barcelona, which was an incredible trip. And those are my
Right.
three big things. But I am so passionate about my work. People are like, what do you like to do? And I'm like, network, meet new people, work. I don't know. So,
Work, eat, work, sleep, work.
yeah, it's very satisfying.
Awesome. That is cool. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining me today.
Yeah,
It was really nice to have this difference. We talk about so many different things when it comes to making money. And sometimes we have to stop and realize that, oh, sometimes we need a little help when it comes to navigating these complex things that are important, right? And so whether it is
absolutely.
Facebook ads or whether it's, starting a blog or whether it's dealing with insurance companies, a lot of complexities, a lot of things in life. And it's okay to just be like, I don't have the time, energy to learn
100%.
the ins and outs and go through this alone.
Or to
Please.
wait on hold, right?
Right. You got a business to run and they try to put you on hold forever on purpose, right?
Forever. Yeah,
And so I definitely appreciate you coming here, dropping that knowledge and giving people some insight into how that works so they have that person in their back pocket that they can reach out to for those things. So thank you for
for
coming on
sure.
here today.
For sure.
Awesome. Cool. And if people want to ask you questions, they want to reach out to you, maybe even work with you if they have a family member, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that the biggest thing about advocacy is people don't know it exists. And so please do reach out. Please, if you have a loved one or, a friend or somebody that you just, we're talking to at a coffee shop, make sure you let them know, hey, there's billing advocates out there that you can hire to take this off your shoulders and take that stress away from you, because it can be really stressful. So please share the word, spread the word. That's why I do these podcasts, and I love getting the word out there. The best way to reach me is through my website, which is just wheelhouse-health.com. And there's a chat feature there, so you can just chat with me directly and set up a consultation call through there if you're looking for services. And yeah, we can definitely get you the help that you need.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you one more time, Emily, for coming on here with me. I really do appreciate you coming on here with me. I'm going to put all of that inside the bio so people can click on it. They'll be right there for you to get some easy answers. But I appreciate you coming on here again with me. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And thank you all for watching. If you are even thinking about it in the remotely the slightest, I'd say send an email, reach out to Emily and, ask your questions, pick her brain a little bit and go from there. And if you have an interesting business like Emily does and you want to be on my podcast, reach out to me at Tavius at fixmyfeesteam.com. Other than that, see you all and good night.